Welcome, friends. Welcome to this session. This one is day 5, and it means that we are almost coming to the end of week number 1. Uh, what I am doing so far in this week is I am setting context. I am setting the ground. So I'm clearing up the ground for you so that you can take the pace in coming weeks, week number 2 and week number 3. Uh, for example, maybe I don't know the name Rangoli, you know, right? So Rangoli is I don't know the English name for this, but Rangoli, how it's created? There are some dots first made in some pattern, and then those lines, those dots are connected, and then colors are filled in. So this is the steps to create the Rangoli. So what we are doing is so far we are only making the dots. So when you go a little bit beyond, you try to think of the correlation between these different dots, then you might not able to make it because the rangoli is yet to be uh, uh, discovered. So it is the design or the what we are going to make that will get discovered over the period of time. So week 1 is mainly making those dots, and soon we are going to connect those dots. So that real design will going to be revealed. So reveal is much better than discover. So it's going to be revealed to you in coming sessions. So uh, don't try to connect those dots yourself. Uh, those will be connected with time, and this is what we are following. This is what is just a typical analogy that suits the pattern that we are following in this learning. Uh, okay, that's it. Now we can get into the slides. Let me recap day number 4 before we start today's topics. So what we have done yesterday, we have seen data types in C sharp. Those are referred as native data types. Those are only few to know and remember. We don't use that many different types in C sharp. Only few of them we know. We need to know and remember because those are only frequently used. Then there are data types in NXOpen. We also touched upon that. Those are too many to think of, to remember of. Actually, we don't need to learn or remember it. Also, uh, we only need to know them in order to the context of journal or the code example they are used. That's it. Okay, so this is what we have learned overall about data types yesterday. Now I will little bit going to shift the focus to C sharp in today's session. What we are going to do today is we are going to learn various C sharp topics. In this session, I am going to do some dot connections. We have made lot of dots so far. Now we'll try to connect some of them in this today's session itself. So here I am covering few basic topics about C sharp. Again, few more topics will follow next week. The first one is knowing more about main function. So you understood the code template. You also know in that code template we do have one class and we do have one main function. So we are talking about main function. How it is written? Public static void main, and then we do have string into the bracket, and there is a square bracket as well. So this is all syntax thing uh, in C sharp. Don't need to bother that. bother much about that syntax part. What is this main function is? This is most common entry point for a C sharp program. What this means is when we do have more than one functions, then our program must needs to understand somehow which function it shall execute first, and how it understands that we name the function, and every function has a name. If you remember, or if you try to recall, class even do have a name, uh, public class NX journal. So NX journal is a name or identifier for that class. Similarly, here we do have main as a name of this function. So it is most common entry point, and how C sharp understands that which one is the entry point to start with for execution is by its name. If you have the function with name main, then that is going to be the entry point. Then there is static used in this statement, where this function is defined or declared. We have used static word. It means that this main method can be called without an object. Actually, there are several types of methods, and few methods need the object. As by understanding the data types in NXOpen, you already know little bit about little bit about object. You at least know this word. That is fine for now. So there are several type of methods, and static meaning we are calling this method without defining any object. Now, in order to have this main method as an entry point, there is one important thing we shall be defining is this word public. Public and private. There are two types of methods. Public method means we can access that method from anywhere in the code. Now, so far we are talking about one .cs file. So we are talking about journal. Our learning so far is restricted to one single file. But as you gradually upgrade yourself with this knowledge, you might deal with several .cs files. It means that several code files you will have, and then within each code file, .cs file, you might be having several methods, main going to be one of them. You will have several public and private methods or functions. Methods and function is, I'm using it as a synonym, so don't get confused in this. Method and function is one and the same thing. So public meaning it is a access modifier, which means the compiler, or compiler means when we hit a play button, then compiler starts compiling the code and then execution happens. So compiler can execute this from anywhere. If you declare it as public, then we can access that method from anywhere in the code. If we make it private, then there are restrictions to access that method. So main is going to be the entry point, because main is the name that we use for this function, and public is the main function should be public. Without that, it won't execute. It will give error. So main function should be public always. Then we do have something in the brackets. After main, we do have something in the bracket. It is the configured name of the main method. We just ignore this. If I even delete this, nothing going to change much. This main, then brackets, it is a configured name for the main method. So this is slightly about the explanation of defining main method. Why I'm showing you this? Because when you work, when you write a code yourself from scratch, and if you're going to change anything from here, yeah, it will impact your code. Your code may not work properly, or you will get the error straight away. So No need to understand full details of everything, but this is what is the way main method is defined. And you cannot uh, play with this the syntax, the words used in this line. It shall be used as is as much as possible. Okay, now let's move on to the next topic. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but let's revise this. This is related to memory allocation. So when I have introduced you to data types, I have also touched upon each data type has uh, its own memory allotted. So we talk about KB or GB. So, but before that, what comes is byte. Okay, so every variable has or every data type has some bytes allotted for its memory. Now you can see here this point 3D P1 is equal to new point 3D, and into bracket there is no coordinate values mentioned. But what is then what is the meaning of having uh, this mentioned after is equal to sign? What is happening here? Only memory allocation is happening. No values are assigned. Even after I assign the value, memory might remain the same or slightly change. But what's happening? Only memory got allotted to this variable. The same the same here. It is just a memory allocation happening. And uh, what you need to take away from this is there are few type of data types, they need memory allocation. For example, point 3D. For example, vector 3D. When we define double or a string, that time we may not allot the memory. But for certain type of data types, we do need to allot the memory. Let's understand this from the journal that we had. So I have a code. Okay, let me open create line code. Okay, now you see we have used new. Now let's understand if I don't use new, whether it will work. I have deleted from one of the point P1. Now let's play this. You can see we have got an error. So certain data types, we need to allot the memory before we actually assign values. Uh, one more example. I think we do have similar case in a recorded journal. Now you can see here it is vector 3D and we do have allotted the memory for vector 3D. Even if I don't use any parameters, any values here, it is fine. But this is how the memory allocation happens. Let's see if anything else similar to this. No, nothing else. But this is the just another example of allocation of memory. There are few data types where we need to allot the memory before we assign values. Okay, now let's get back to the same example. Now let's say if I just allot the memory and do not assign any values here. I can do it like this. But anyway, before I create line, I do need those values of coordinates because otherwise it won't be created. Let's see if I try it, what happens. Uh, it went through without error, but I'm sure no point is created because we haven't given any values. These are all existing lines that we had. Okay, so now let's talk about how we then assign the values if we use the memory allocation like this and without defining any values inside bracket. Now what can happen? Uh, how we can do it? We can go and define x, y, z in individual line. I can even show you the it with the in context of this guide. Let's see create line. I will search for create line method, start point, end point, not this one, start point, end point. Yes, and then if I click on point 3D, then I know that this is x, y, z. And if I click on this, this is a double value. So we have already seen this. Now to define the xyz, now what how I can do is p1 dot x is equals to double value. I can even go and write value like this 1.2 because it is double. Then p1 dot y. I'm using capital because C sharp is case sensitive language. Is the words which needs to be capital, they needs to be used in capital, and the words which are in small we have to use in small. We cannot alter it, so it is case sensitive. If we make any uh, discrepancy while using uppercase and lowercase, we are going to get the error. Then I can have it 25 p 1 dot z is equals to 0. This is how I can define the coordinates. Then this is for p1. I will copy these three lines. We'll use similar for p2. This time I will make it as 50. Okay, and I can play this journal. You can see this line is created. This is the new line which is created. And what we have done, it's just the another way of defining value for points and using that to create a line. Now let's talk about the case sensitivity of this language. Here we do have the session as identifier of this variable, and you can notice S is capital. Now if I do not use S capital here, instead I use small, it's the same thing. No means if I compare the letters, the word, it is exactly same, only the difference in the uppercase and lowercase for this letter. Now let's see if it works. You can see we got an error because this is a case sensitive language. And as a new coder, this is going to be a little bit difficult for you to get used to this language because it is case sensitive. If you consider learning through Visual Basic is more comfortable, and one of the reason is this: Visual Basic is not case sensitive language. Okay, now let's move on to the next topic. Okay, so this is about memory allocation. Now let's talk more about strings. We already know strings is nothing but sequence of characters, words, or sentences we assign as a value to the string variables. The example is in front of you, string. I shall not use S capital because it is like this in C sharp. So all letters are small. Label is identifier. Then we do have this in double inverted comma. This is how string is defined. Now let's see few examples of string. We have already seen them, but let's have a better look at them once again. It is about getting length. Okay, so let's take this example. Now we know that we require a string for writing some text in a listing window. Either we use write listing window function, or we use info write line function. So what is written inside bracket? You can see we do have a string, but in between plus sign is also used. So when we wanted to join two different strings together, then plus sign is used, and it is called concatenation. You might have, if you have used Excel macros or Excel formulas, that time you might have heard about this function, concatenation. So concatenation can connect two different strings together. Here we have connected three different strings. And why it is connected like this? Why it cannot be just one line? Let's copy this line, create the one more similar line, and here I won't use concatenation. And what I will do is I will keep the double quotes at the end only, because if I am not doing concatenation, I don't need double quotes in between. Okay, so this line is without concatenation, this line is with concatenation. Now let's see what happens. I will execute this journal. Okay, listing window is not open. I need to open that first, and I can play the journal again. Now we have to look at this text, because this is generated through a journal. Now let's look at these last two lines. This line was without concatenation, and this line was with concatenation. Now the only difference is here we got the variable name or identifier as is, and here we got the value of that variable. And why this has happened? Because we have not used concatenation. So if we wanted to combine two different variables, that time concatenation is required. Also, if we are combining two different variables which are of different type, so one is integer, other is string, one is double, other is string. So if it is like that, then we must use concatenation. And this concatenation is only work in few combinations. So we cannot club the object, like if you wanted to concatenate object and the string, it will not happen, because object may not be the text, it may not be the characters, the alphabets. It is an object, line is object, so that we cannot concatenate that with string. But if it is feature name or line name, so that can be used during concatenation. Here it is number 4. Num curves is identifier and it is integer. We can very well convert this number into text, because we are just wanted to display it. We are not going to use it in calculation. When we are going to use a number in calculation and we use it as a string, that is not going to work. But here our purpose is to just show that in a window. So that's how the concatenation is working. And this is the reason why concatenation is used here. You can consider this as a string variable, though it is a value as is defined here without declaring a separate variable, but this is nothing but a string. This is an integer and this is also another string. The same is happening here. We do have this. Uh, string, then a integer, and then a string. Then what is this curve length? Curve length is also a double. So it is the concatenation of string, integer, and double. Okay, so this is how we can use concatenation. Give me a moment. If it is possible to convert that text into the string, or convert that value uh, into string, then concatenation will work. And concatenation is mainly used when we are dealing with string. Let me see if we do have another example on concatenation. Message box, we do not have concatenation used here. Then do we have anything in journal? Let's see. I don't think so. We do have a lot of strings. You can see, though it is 0, but it is string because there is double inverted comma. Here as well it is string, though it is a value, a number, still it is a string. Okay, here as well it is a number, but it is a string. This one is a string. Okay, but no concatenation. So that example is well enough for you to understand about concatenation. Now let's move on. I'm going to introduce new data type. This I haven't touched because this is very different from the others. Integer, string, boolean, char, double, all of these can be put together in arrays. So what I'm talking about is arrays. Arrays is actually collection of variables of same type. For example, you do have several lines into your sketch, and you want to collect all the lengths of all those lines into your program. Now let's assume that you are going to write that program from scratch, and what you have to handle is uh, you will get any part as an input, and that part may contain 2 lines, 20 lines, 50 lines, 100 lines. You don't have any control which part you will get as an input. And what you need to do is you need to develop a program that captures all the lengths of those lines and put together. So in that case, it will be difficult for you to go and write the number of variables, because what you will see to do is that obviously you will try to uh, declare the variable, maybe double type you will declare, and you will try to declare as many as variables for as many as lines that you have. But if you are not sure about that, then that time, or if it is a situation like this, or if I try to simplify, if there is a situation where you need to deal with various variables, number of variables of same type, then in that case, instead of going and defining each variable one by one, we use arrays. So you can see in this case, I have declared two variables, number one and number two, and those are same integer type, int. This should be small int. Okay, but as I do have option to use arrays, I can arrays is used where we can use collection. Collection means anything which is more than one. So it is plural thing. So if we can define one variable at a time, and that variable can only hold one value. But if you want to define a variable that can hold several values of same type, that time we use arrays. So how arrays is defined? The same way as any other variable. Its type, then after the type, the square bracket is used. If square bracket is used, it means that it is a array. It is a plural thing, and it can have values more than one. And then this is identifier. Then for arrays as well, we need memory allocation. That's why we need to use new. Okay, and then after new, we need to again define the size of array. Size can be of two values. The collection can be of two count. Collection can be of 200 count. It can be of 2000 count. It can be anything. The size of array can be anything. The only thing is that it can only uh, hold the same type of variable. Either it can be integer, either it can be double, either it can be string. But it cannot be mix of double and integer. It cannot be mix of double and string. It can be only one type, but the size can be anything. So the new, then int, that indicates the type again, and into bracket 3, it means the size is 3. It means it can hold 3 different values. So this is one way of declaring and defining arrays. The other way is, here what is done? Only memory allocation is done. Values are not yet assigned. Only memory allocation is done. This is an array, and this is of integer type. Numbers is going to be the identifier or name of that array, and the size of array is 3. This is what is defined in this line. No values are defined. What this line is doing? This line is also defining, assigning the values. So here 1, 2, 3 are the values uh, of the uh, of this array. So 1, 2, 3, it can hold 3 because the size is 3. You can see size is not defined here. Instead, we directly got and defined the values. As we have defined 3 values, it means that the size of array is 3. Now, how we define, how we indicate that it is array? By using square bracket just after the type. And when we wanted to define the values, curly bracket is used. And there is comma used after each value to go and define uh, as many as values we want. I can go and define 4, 5, 6, and so on, 7. So it means I'm going and I'm increasing the size of this array. Now the size is 7. And that value is defined in curly brackets. Similarly, what I can do is I can define string, then square bracket, then I will name it as str, then new string, like this. Then into this I have to use double quotes because it is string, then curly bracket complete, semicolon. So this is how I can go and define string. So this is string type of array, and the size is 3. The same goes for double and any other type. So this is arrays. So when we are in need of declaring or using several variables of same type, that time array is useful. And if we don't know the size of array, that time as well, uh, arrays are useful. Let's see it through the example. Get user attributes. You can notice here when this body's uh, variable is declared, you can see this bracket is used. Now I'm talking about this body which is NXOpen type. Now you don't need to actually worry more about that, whether it is NXOpen data type or whether it is C# data type. You don't need to classify that. So it is a data type, body is data type, and square brackets is used. It means it is array. And why array is used here? You can understand that from this line. The session dot parts dot work dot bodies dot to array. It means it is not just single body. Our part can have one or several bodies. Doesn't uh, we don't know. It can be either one body or several bodies. But I am but if but by defining array, I am accommodating any number of bodies, whether it is one or whether it is more than one. Even if it is one body, I can still uh, have that value into array, because array can be of size 1. So even if it is one size, array is possible. It is not like that we need to have more than one size or for the array. We can even have the array of size 1. So it can be one body or several bodies. This variable size is going to uh, accommodate that. So as it is more than one, this is declared as array. Now other example is this attribute information. You can see square bracket here as well. It means it is also array. Now this a body, it means the body itself. Body dot get user attributes. Now get user attributes means it can be one attribute or it can be several attributes. So that is also possibility. So as this can be several attributes, then it makes sense we to define that as a array. So this is the typical case where arrays can be used. Now I think we do have one more example for arrays. Get length. Hmm, I think not. Okay, so we don't have arrays used here, but anyway, this work part dot curves is it needs to be a array. It needs to be array if it is at all declared separately, uh, because curves can be either one or more than one. So we are trying to get all the curves from the work part, and if at all we choose to declare this as a separate variable, we can declare it as a array. Okay, I can try doing that. Maybe this is little bit overwhelming for you. If you get it, well. If you don't get it, still just try to grasp it as much as possible. So what I will do is uh, curve is type, then square bracket, then uh, what I will name it, curve collection, or I will use short form curve COLL. Then is equals to work part dot curves and then semicolon. And now instead of using this line, because this all curves are now can be assigned to this variable, I will use this, will copy this and will replace it here. Now I do have the array here, and let's see if it works. Cannot explicitly convert data type to NXOpen curve. Okay, fine. Maybe I am doing something wrong, so just ignore this. No need to refer. We had to cover curve collection. That is the next thing after understanding arrays. So I will park that for now. Now let's move on to the next topic. So arrays is simple. It is collection of same type of variables. Yeah, so we get user attributes. This example we have seen. Now let's see if we have used this line to define the array. It means we do have defined array, its type and its size, but we have not assigned any values. So if we have not assigned any values, that time the default value is going to be 0. If it is integer type, that time default value is going to be 0. If we are uh, we have defined array as boolean type, that time the default value is false. If we define the string, default value of string is like this, blank. It is blank. So there is no default value for string. It is blank or null, you can say like this. So if we are just allotted the memory and not assigned values, so these are the default values based on different data type. Now a little bit more topics from C sharp. So going forward, you will do some calculation, you will use some formulas inside coding. So uh, operators are useful in that case. And these are very simple operators. How we perform calculation using calculator, the same symbols are used here as well. So this we are talking about arithmetic calculation, and we do have some operators for that. Operator meaning symbol. So plus is used for addition, minus is used for subscription. Sorry, subscription, not subscription. It is subtraction. Then star for multiplication, forward slash for division, percentage. Then this is something new for you. Uh, plus sign. Plus signs, it means increment. If we have zero value, and then if I use plus, it means it is going to be incremented to 1. If I do have value as 15, and if I use plus, it means it will get incremented by 1, it will become 16. And the same for decrement. This is actually 2 times minus sign. So this is if I use 2 times minus sign, then it is decrement by 1. uh, 2 times plus sign, it means increment by 1. So this is the typical operators used for arithmetic calculation in C sharp. I do have an example as well to show. Create tree. Okay, here you can see we have used this forward slash for division in this formula, right? We do have used plus sign, this multiplication sign, to perform some calculation. So depth is a variable. This is also a multiplication, and then we do have used math.cos to make the cos of this value. But this is where we have used the arithmetic symbols. We do also use this plus minus here uh, to calculate the coordinates for the point. And okay, I thought we also use increment plus plus here, plus plus for increment, but that is not here. But we do have the arithmetic calculations used here. I think I can go to some other get length. I think we have here. Yeah. So num curves. So this is integer and this is 0. Okay. So what is happening here? I have used plus plus sign. It means that if num curves is 0, then after this line, after execution of this line by a program, it will become 1. So this is what happens with plus plus, and the uh, same with uh, minus minus. It will decrement. So if it is 0, this will become minus 1. Okay, so this is how the decrement or increment can be done using arithmetic operations. Now, the last topic for today is operators for comparison. Now, arithmetic operators are used for calculation. What happens after that calculation? The value of variable changes. Now, you will see similar symbols are used, not exactly similar, but these are nothing but the symbols, those you will find easily in your calculator. So, but these are used for comparison. There is lot much difference when we use it for calculation and when we use it for comparison. So, comparison means we are comparing two different variables. Of course, when we compare two different variables, those should be of same type, because we cannot compare string with double, we cannot compare character with boolean. They should be of same type. We can either compare string to string, double to double, integer to integer. So though they must be of same type. Now, if I wanted to make some decision or make uh, some code work based on the comparison done, then I use this double uh, equal sign. So two times equal to sign. It means that I am comparing if those two values are equal. If those are equal, then something will happen. If those are not equal, then something else will happen. So if it is decision making kind of thing that we are doing, that time double two times equal to sign is used to compare the equal. So this sign is to compare the equal. This is exclamatory mark and is equal to is to compare not equal to. This is more than, less than, greater than, more, greater than and less than, greater than equal to, less than equal to. So how we compare two values? This is the same way we use these operators to perform the comparison. Now let's see the example. Hmm, which example is that? Is this? Yes. So comparison is mainly used while using if function. If function is something we will touch upon again sometime. But what if function is do? If function enables comparison, and then based on that comparison, we can do certain thing. So here what is done is this if function is initiated, then depth is defined as 9, right? And then this depth value is being compared with 0. So 9 is equals to 0. If this is true, then something will happen. If it is not true, then something else will happen. So there is some decision making is done based on this comparison. And this is where this equal to sign, 2 times equal to sign is used. So if I wanted to check not equal to, then I will use it like this, exclamatory mark and equal to. It means that uh, if it is not equal to, then I am going to do certain thing. So if I wanted to work vice versa, then I can do it like this. And in the same way, greater than, uh, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to is used. But the meaning here is these are the operators, those are used for doing comparison. Now, why I'm showing you this, why I'm taking this topic now. The only importance of this topic is understanding the syntax. So how you compare the equal between two values is by using 2 times equal to sign. You cannot just use 1 time equal to, but because when you use 1 time equal to, it means you are assigning a value. Depth is equal to 9. It means you are assigning a value. Single uh, equal to sign you have used. If you are using 2 times equal to sign, it means you are not assigning value, but you are comparing. Okay, so this is the syntax wise, the difference is there. Okay, so these are few topics that can bring, that can give you more clarity about the journals that we have seen so far. And with this, we conclude today's session.